Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Today we are going over the Christmassiest beer that we have done a video on this minute.
Is it Christmassy? I don't really know. Maybe. Northwest style Sahti, which is Swedish, right?
Northwest American Swedish.
IPA. Which is actually British.
Indian. Anyway, so we did a juniper infused and honey fermented IPA. Basically, is how this all amounts to. It's a very complex and fantastically weird beer. Brewed.
It's actually really good. Peter didn't like it.
Brewed with the Kveik, however you want to pronounce that, yeast, which is a highly temperature tolerant yeast. We can make neutral beers at a low and high temperature, and really orangey beers at that middle temperature range. Just a weird and beautiful, fantastical yeast to use, and this is what we ended up with.
But jam!
Woo. So we're going to give you a recipe rundown and a general flavor profile of what this beer is, and we'll also link the recipe below if you want to try it yourself.
Right after this person comes in. Break!
Don't let your sun go down on me. Hey, what? That's not that was weird. Sahti. So I'll just give you a quick recipe rundown, like I was saying, and we'll go over the flavor profiles, and then we'll let you use your imagination as to how you want to use this information, I guess.
All right, let me give you the recipe. This is pretty much my design, I think. Tried to keep my grain bill really simple. So I'm going to give you a breakdown. We got 74-ish% of a pale two-row. I'm giving you this because this was like a 28-gallon batch, by the way.
No.
We've got 4% of, rice hulls. We just use that for our stuff. But then we've also got a little bit of corn sugar. Keep that nice and dry. That's about 8% of the grain bill. By weight corn sugar, we've got 4% of an acid malt. That sort of gave us our base to give that just a hair of tartness.
And also helps with mash pH.
And then about 10% chip malt, which is an under-modified German malt that can be really easily substituted out for something like a Carapils. Both Peter and I have played with this a lot, and we find that it gives you a really nice, slightly grainy characteristic, much more flavor than what Carapils might give you.
I'm like pseudo against Carapils because I feel like it's just such a flavorless malt. Chip malt has all the body, all the dextrins and everything like that, but it actually seems to add something, another dimension to the beer. So
yeah, some complexity, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not just adding in dextrins. So as for hops, this is where this gets somewhat new school, not typical. What am I going for? I don't know.
Squirrely.
Words are hard. So my first hop edition actually goes through in a whirlpool, or goes in a whirlpool. So I got a 15-minute whirlpool. I believe I started this more or less at flame out. It might have been at about 190, 180 degrees. But I did 3 ounces of Chinook, and then I did 12 ounces of Laurel. So obviously you guys got to scale this down a little bit. Laurel is a fairly new hop. I looked into the profile. It's supposed to be somewhat herbal, somewhat bright, somewhat poppy. I think it'd go really good in this style of beer.
It's a really nice hop. Laurel is just a fantastic hop.
Yep. And then that was it for really my bittering and also some flavoring. We chilled it.
Bye, wife.
Bye, Peter's wife. Bitterness IBU. This is spitting out at 29 IBUs, which actually is pretty close to, I think, what this beer finished at. And then we pitched Loki yeast, which is a seasonal from Imperial. We'll probably put some links to that down below.
Named after Thor's brother from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. So anyway, this took off. We let it ferment about 68, 70 degrees for about a week, and at that point it was tapering off. So what we did is we mixed in a little bit of honey with some juniper berries.
And we firm wrapped it.
Yeah, we macerated the juniper berries. We kind of did, I don't know, I think you just jumped on them a bunch.
No, I took a mallet is what I did.
Oh, okay.
I locked them in a bag, and I took no, it was a metal hammer, and it just beat the
daylights out of these, berries. So he beat his berries, folks.
Yeah.
So we added 4 ounces of juniper berries, which if you break that down to a 5-gallon batch is about 3/4 of an ounce.
Yeah.
You probably could actually up that to 1 ounce if you wanted to. I don't think that's going to hurt anything. And then also we added 4 ounces of cryo-lupulin 2 hops of the Laurel as well at about that same time, and let it go for another week before we racked it off into a bright tank and let it condition for another week or so before we have it sitting in front of us right here.
Ta-da! It's not what I've been drinking. I'm drinking this.
And this. Check out our last video if you want to see that. We're not knocking
And in the video
out
before that. Yeah,
tons of videos today. So my first impression is you get hit immediately with this somewhat sweet, somewhat orangey characteristic.
Yeah, orange.
Orange, yeah, just straight up orange. Stop looking at my crotch.
Orange, and then like clover honey. Clover honey is a more pungent honey. It's that classic honey flavor that you get when you buy that little bear of honey. That's clover honey.
It's dry, it's sweet, it's tangy. And the juniper comes through right on the finish.
Yeah, so it's
Juniper on the finish.
DST, dry, sweet, and tangy.
Not DTF.
Get DFT. No, I do get just this tiny amount of hop bite. The hop bite isn't overbearing, obviously, because this is a style of hopping that doesn't lend towards a lot of bitterness. The plant matter doesn't come through a ton, but you do get a little bit of co-bite. I think the Chinook actually pushed through. And,
Yeah, that's actually what I was hoping for using that Chinook, is that I would get just a hair of that the cohemulone. It's a thing.
A little bit of assertion, basically. Like,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of times when you use some of these new age hops, these Laurels, these Citra, Simcoes, things like that, Mosaics especially, you get really...
Yeah, Simcoe as well.
Yeah, a lot of soft profile. You don't get any of that aggression that you're used to.
Mm-hmm.
There are methodological ways to kind of get that, you know, depending on when you hop them. But if you're using like a strict Whirlpool edition, you really need the hop to lend itself to, you know, be able to give you what you need to give some assertion to the beer.
Yep. And that's exactly why I put the Chinook hops in there, was to give you just a little bit of that old school co-bite. Also, I know that their profile tends to kind of give you a little bit of that, slightly like bitter grape kind of a characteristic.
Yeah.
That
Touch of pine, touch of earth.
touch of pine as well, which Juniper is piney-esque. Ended up with a light beer, light body. It lets the honey, the hops, the yeast all come through. They marriage into.
Yeah.
You like my pun there, marriage, because this was kind of a wedding beer. Right?
And that's a pun that like maybe 1% of people that are watching will get. Drop down on one knee and hit that like button if you like that pun. I don't know.
As for hitting a true Sahti, this beer probably isn't spot on.
Oh no, it's far gone. It's far from. It's the Northwest Swedish Sahti. It's a great beer though. Like the way that the Laurel hops with their herbal quality and like everything else they got going on there, like slight grapefruit, slight like kind of tea characters. I think they have like kind of like almost an Earl Grey tea almost esqueness. Marry with the honey, you get a lot of depth of character with that middle flavor.
Mm-hmm. And none of these flavors overpower the beer, and that's really what I was trying to go for. Is despite me wanting to throw a pound of Laurel or something else at this beer, I really was just like, nope, not gonna do it.
Yeah,
and
that makes something in balance.
Yeah, and I think that actually let that low-key yeast, especially because once we added the little bit of honey and the juniper, we did put a firm wrap on there and let that warm up to, I believe, 78 degrees, and kind of let that finish up on that high temperature range, and it let that yeast come through and produce that really amazing orange character.
Yeah, that's what it needs. On the low and the high ends of the spectrum, low-key can be fairly neutral, but in that middle, it does produce just a nice, sweet orange tangerine kind of quality to it, which is really present in the beer and a really big part of the character of this.
So if you want to brew this recipe, we will be posting some links to it in the description below. Otherwise, if you want to see more recipe breakdowns, watch us brew some more beer, watch us talk about beer, definitely make sure you like and hit the bell so that you know when we put a new video out.
Yes!
Otherwise, till next time on Genus Brewing, what are we doing now?
I don't know. Get us to 10,000 subscribers, because we're going to do something really stupid when you do that. I think we already mentioned CIPing
and stuff.
Beer and basically taking a shower in beer.
Viva la beer!
Viva la beer!
Why is there just like beer everywhere? Like,
it's like we filmed 3 videos today.
That's how we sell beer recipes.
Juniper, Swedish fermented Kveik IPA-esque Northwest pale honey, Swedish American Northwest hop new beer.
You just wanted to do that, didn't you?
Yeah. What? I finished mine. I drank faster.
Yeah. He's also drunker.
Yeah, I'm not drunker.
That was a really good drunk impression.
I've been drunk before.
Could have fooled me.
I know, right? That's how you talk to cops. You gotta know how to sound drunk to talk. No, opposite of that. Opposite of that.
Pokemon.
Gotta catch 'em all these beers and videos. Stop button.